One.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the April 12th, 2021 regular meeting of the Hillsborough City-County Planning Commission. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation is encouraged. To minimize feedback in the audio, all participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should raise their hand or unmute themselves and turn on their camera to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted. When it is your turn to speak, please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for the local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org, planner@plancom.org, planner@plancom.org. For action items, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chair. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal response. Planning commissioners will ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that introduction, I'll ask Commissioner Doughty to lead us in the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise.
God, I pray that you bless us in this meeting and keep us. Let your face shine upon us and be gracious to us. I pray that we feel your presence during this meeting because you are with us. I pray that this meeting focuses on you and your plans for us as a body. Let our actions in this meeting be valuable to your goals. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Doughty. With that, I would like to ask the clerk to go ahead and call roll, please.
Good afternoon. Joseph?
Here.
Bernstein?
Here.
Cardenas? Cardenas? Dix?
Here.
Doughty?
Here.
Handy?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Linkus?
Here.
Linkus?
Here.
Was that Linkus? I can't hear.
Here. Sorry.
Thank you. Marino?
Here.
Powell?
Here.
Dickerson?
This is Matthew Pleasant sitting in for Amber.
Thank you. And Rodriguez? Here. Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the March minutes for the following meetings. The regular meeting, March 8th, 2021, and the public hearing on City of Tampa and City of Plant City Plan Amendments, March 8th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion of approval by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Doughty. Would the clerk please go ahead and take a roll call vote on this item?
Excuse me, Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
I didn't hear Cardenas. Dix?
Yes.
Doughty?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Linkus,
Yes.
Marino,
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda, item number 2, is public input for items not scheduled on the agenda, and I believe we had a couple people sign up for that, so I will hand it over to our executive director.
Yes, thank you. We had Batista Mordini sign up for public input.
I do not see Batista on the line, and they have not checked in yet.
Okay. And then Adrian Musil signed up to speak on an item that is a briefing item that does not normally have public comment, so I didn't know if he wanted to speak at this time.
I am also not seeing Adrian on, and he has also not checked in yet.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, on to the next agenda item. Item number 3 is an action item, and it is the adoption of the proposed four-year 22, four-year 23 budget, and the presenter will be Melissa Zornita.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Melissa Zornita for the record. Before you is our proposed 2-year budget. We are at the beginning of the 2-year budget cycle, and we are providing the items to you all that are requested by the county. They've had a simplified budget process this year where they are simply requesting decision units for anything that we need to increase in our operating budget. And there are 2 areas that we are requesting an increase. The first is a decision unit related to additional attorney's fees, and this is a request for $100,000 based on the fact that we have ongoing litigation against the agency and Planning Commission Board that we have outside counsel retained to help us with that litigation. They have indicated that even if the case goes to court this year, that it would be predictable that it could be appealed, and that would go into the next fiscal year. So that is the reason for that increase. The second is a very minor increase of about $2,500 to reflect the inflation that we've experienced in our directors and operators insurance. Additional items that are attached to the agenda item are a page that the county typically requests every year looking for opportunities for efficiencies, areas where we might be able to continue to reduce cost, such as continuing to reduce our reliance on printing and things of that nature, which have allowed us to absorb inflation in other items of our operating budget, or areas where we might be able to increase revenue. Our primary increase in revenue occurred when the county increased the plan amendment fees for unincorporated county plan amendments. And I am in continued discussion with the other local governments about whether or not they would like to pursue increased fees in a similar fashion. The final thing that is in the packet is a revised line item operating budget. It does include historical information on how money has been spent, and we've made a few minor shifts between the line items to reflect things like increases in membership costs for professional staff memberships and things like AICP, and reduced printing costs, for example. So we were able to shift some money from one line item to another. And that has allowed us to absorb the inflation and not have to ask for increases in any other line items besides those 2. With that, I'm available for questions. Felicia Pulliam, our financial manager, is online and also available for questions. And our request is that you approve the FY22 and FY23 budget. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, was there any public comment on this item?
There was no one who signed up.
Okay, all right. Then I will open it up to the commissioners for any questions or discussions that they may have on this item. Yes, Commissioner Dix, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one thing, Ms. Zornita, I thought I heard you say that you were asking for an increase in the attorney's fees, I'm trying to find it again, and I thought I heard you say 100,000, but I thought I had seen 70,000. Did I misunderstand or something?
So, yes, we're asking for an additional 100,000. In the item with the line items,
Yep.
all of them, it is reflecting the existing budget amount, not what has been requested in the decision unit. So because the county has to approve the decision unit separately, we did not go ahead and just roll in the additional 100,000, but it would result in $170,000 in that line item total.
For those two columns, fiscal year 22 and projected also for 23?
Yes, sir.
So 200,000 over 2 years.
Yes,
For each?
100,000 each year is what's been requested.
And we're anticipating this litigation, part of which has already been resolved, to continue on for another couple of years?
Well, I think not only are we anticipating this litigation, but certainly we have seen a rise in land use litigation across the county and the city of Tampa of late, and a number of things happening related to Burt J. Harris property rights at the state legislature, that I think it is beneficial for the agency to have an increase in our attorney's line item to be able to, if we needed to, continue to contract out for outside counsel. If this case resolves, fantastic, and hopefully there's not another one, but it was the discussion, as I heard at the budget committee, was that our line item for attorney's fees was probably low from your all's input.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. Is there anyone else? I'm not seeing any hands raised on the WebEx. Seeing no one in the room, then I will go on ahead and close the public comment section, and I will open it up to the commissioners to entertain motions on this item. Yes, Commissioner Doughty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move that we approve the fiscal year 22 and 23 budgets for submittal to the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
All right, I have a motion for approval by Commissioner Doughty, a second by Commissioner Marino. Is there any more discussion on this from the commissioners? I see you're on the line, Commissioner Powell. Did you have any comments on this one, or?
No, Mr. Chair, I was just going to second.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Bernstein, I also see you on there. Is there any?
Yeah, just a premature getting on the video, Mr. Chair. No comments here.
Okay, thank you. Good to see both of you, by the way. All right, hearing no more discussion on this item and having a motion of approval in a second, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and call a roll call vote on this item.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Doughty?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Linkus?
Yes.
Marino?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you very much. All right, on to our next item on the agenda. Item number 4 is another action item. It's the interlocal agreement for attorney services on personnel issues. This will be presented by Melissa Zornita again.
Yes, good afternoon again, Melissa Zornita for the record. So as outlined in the agenda item, we have agency counsel, Mr. Tracy Robin with the firm Straley, Robin and Veriker, who has served us extremely well over the years. I rely on Tracy for a ton of things related to how the agency operates, the board's operation, all of the different ways that we've had to run a meeting in the last year, for example. He's helped us through all of that. And when we've had some personnel issues arise over the last 6 years that I've been the executive director, they have been able to be fairly easily resolved through non-disciplinary processes. And in the course of dealing with the couple of instances that we've had, we have sought the advice of the county attorney's office from time to time because they have an expertise in the county disciplinary process that our employee procedures also follow. And what this would do would be to memorialize that if we needed representation more than what Mr. Robbins' firm is able to assist us with, if it was something that was getting further into the disciplinary process that needed employment law expertise, we would have the ability to utilize the county attorney's office to represent us solely in those matters. And this is very cost effective because they have a very reasonable hourly rate. Plus they know the procedures already. So there's a great efficiency in that they don't have to learn the process, which we would have to pay outside counsel otherwise to do. So I have worked with Ms. Beck on this interlocal agreement, which I'm bringing forward at this point and asking for your approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, and no public comments on this action item either?
There was no one who signed up.
We'll go ahead and open it up to the commissioners then for any questions or comments that they may have on this item. Not seeing any hands in the room and no one on the WebEx. I will ask one question for myself. Did we do comparisons on the fees for this?
Yes, I asked Mr. Robin for some comparison rates, and he indicated that outside counsel could run from $300 to $450 an hour.
Okay. And signing this agreement with the county doesn't stop us from going and seeking our own sort of outside services if we need to, does it?
That's correct. If we needed additional outside counsel or felt it was more appropriate to have somebody other than the county attorney's office representing us, we would be able to do that.
Okay, very well. All right. See no one on the WebEx, seeing no hands. Did you have a comment, Commissioner Lucas? No? All right. Then I will go ahead and close public comment on this and open it up to the commissioners to entertain motions for this item.
I move that we approve the interlocal agreement for attorney services.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Lucas. I have a motion of approval by Commissioner Linkus and a second by Commissioner Doughty. Is there any more discussion on this item? Seeing no hands on the WebEx and no one in the room, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Doughty?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Linkus?
Yes.
Marino?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Actually, I see Commissioner Cardenas on the WebEx now.
Hello, Commissioner Cardenas.
Yes.
Shall amend that motion carries 10-0.
Thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Cardenas. Good to see you. All right.
See you guys.
On to our next action item. It is item number 5, a bunch of action items. 5A, Unincorporated Hillsborough County Affordable Housing Density Bonus Consultant Contract, and the presenter is Marianne Abrahamson.
Great. Hello, everybody. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. There we go.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Marianne Abrahamson, Planning Commission staff, here to present on the Unincorporated Hillsborough County Affordable Housing Density Bonus Consultant Contract. This is a part of the greater update to the housing element of the Unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, as visualized in the graphic on the right. The intent of this study is to provide an analysis of the currently adopted density bonus structure and procedures, analyze market trends and best practices, hold stakeholder interviews, conduct scenario testing, and produce updated policy language to the comprehensive plan and corresponding land development code regulations as applicable. The request for proposal was released in February and followed our agency's standard procedures, was made available on our agency website, was sent to all consultants on our approved providers list, posted on the local and state American Planning Association newsletters, in addition to the Planning Commission newsletter. In March, applications were received and the interview panel consisting of both county and Planning Commission staff reviewed, held interviews, and selected an applicant. If the contract is approved for signature today, the study will kick off this month with data collection, existing plan review, and a best practices white paper occurring in May through June. Stakeholder outreach and market research will continue through July. The consultant will be conducting scenario testing and revealing draft recommendations in June and August. In September and October, the consultant will conduct presentations to elected officials, resulting in proposed policy refinement, with a final document and recommendations delivered to staff in October, which we may incorporate into the housing element as applicable. The staff project managers are myself and Jennifer Malone. And staff recommends authorizing the executive director to sign the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan Affordable Housing Density Bonus Consultant Contract with Tyndale Oliver. Thank you for your time, and that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. All right, let me check with the executive. Do we have any public comment on this item? Anyone signed up?
Did not have anyone signed up.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will turn it over to the commissioners for any comments or discussion, questions they may have on this item. All right, seeing no one in the room and no one with their hand raised up on the WebEx, I saw Commissioner Powell pop up. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the consultant, they are not doing any other studies for us right now, correct? For RP2 or WRB2?
Correct. They are not involved with either of those studies, and they don't have any other ongoing studies with the Planning Commission that I'm aware of.
Did we happen to have any of the other two consultants? Did they happen to submit any proposals, or were we not even looking for proposals from anyone that are currently working on things for us?
Well, we opened it up. We opened up to all of the approved providers. So anyone on our approved provider list, rather, any consultant that has submitted the applicable paperwork and gone through the process to be approved as a consultant for the Planning Commission, sent it to everybody, but we didn't get any responses or applications rather from consultants that are working on RP2 or WVR2 projects at the moment. So the ones that we received applications from, there was one that is a sub-consultant on a project that the MPO is working on, but otherwise the ones that did apply are not doing any studies with us at the moment.
And then will their scope, are they looking at countywide, or are they looking at the density bonuses, countywide or just in the RP2 and WVR2 areas?
No, so this is completely separate from the RP2 and WVR2 studies. This is all countywide.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Yes, Commissioner Handy, please go ahead.
Am I on? Okay. Just a quick question regarding the scope. The market research and the stakeholders that were identified as the scope, are those to be developed as part of the scope?
So I think if I'm understanding your question correctly, the ones that were identified in the scope are a sampling of stakeholders that they could reach out to, but it's not an end-all be-all. So we formulated this scope with that in mind, that that is that is kind of a sampling of what you could see coming out of that stakeholder outreach. Is that what did that answer your question?
Yeah, I was wondering whether the stakeholders had already been identified or if that was part of the process under the proposed scope of the contract.
I see. Yes. So, so the stakeholders have partially been identified. They haven't been, to my knowledge, they have not been contacted yet. So if there's any additional stakeholders that come up, that can be conversations that we have with the consultants to reach out to additional stakeholders.
Okay. Perhaps a better question would be, as this study progresses, will there be opportunities for this group and others to input and review some of those findings?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So part of the scope includes conversations and briefings back to the Planning Commission, as well as the Affordable Housing Advisory Board and the Board of County Commissioners. So throughout this study, there will be a point in time where this comes back to the Planning Commission before it's finalized.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. All right, I see Commissioner Cardenas on the line. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, another question in reference to the scope. Is it just unincorporated or is it all county?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question, because after I answered Commissioner Powell, I realized I should have probably said unincorporated Hillsborough County. So this does not apply to the incorporated jurisdiction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cardenas. All right. Do you have another question, Commissioner Handy?
No.
Or no? Okay, just checking. And I see no more hands or faces on the WebEx. So with that, I will go on ahead and close the public comment section. And I will ask that the clerk, I'll open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Marino.
I move that we authorize the executive director to sign the contract with Neil Oliver.
All right. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Linkus. Is there any more discussion from any of the commissioners? Seeing none in the room and no hands raised on the WebEx, I will now ask the clerk to go ahead and take a roll call vote on this item.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Doughty?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Linkus?
Yes.
Marino?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Motion carried 10-0.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next item, 5B, the Wimauma Community Plan Update and WVR2 Future Land Use Study Consultant Contract. And the presenter will be Jay Collins.
Good afternoon. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jay Collins, Planning Commission staff. Mr. Fuentes has the PowerPoint up. I just want to confirm that you all can see that in your room.
Yes.
Yes. Wonderful. So again, this is the Wimauma Community Plan Update and WVR2 Land Use Consultant Contract. This is partly at the response of the Board of County Commissioner actually extending its moratorium on lands in the WVR2 land use in Wimauma, as well as what is going on in the RP2 land use, which we'll hear about here in just a few minutes. That extension goes all the way through the end of this calendar year, through December 31st. Originally, this was going to expire May 31st of this year. So with that additional time, there is a need for additional work on these projects. That additional work came from the board asking us, partly at your recommendation, to continue that work out of the February public hearings. So what again are we doing? Oh, I just tried to do it myself. Mr. Fuentes, would you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So again, we are continuing the community planning process. This is to update the existing Wimauma community plan from 2007. Also, those are the livable communities element, the future land use element. There is an overlay that is being created for the downtown area along 674. There are some land use regulations for the WVR2 that is coming specifically out of some of that moratorium study, but that is also something that is asked of by the Wimauma Community Plan. And finally, there's a downtown strategic action plan that is looking to prioritize some of the issues that the citizens of Wimauma have put forward about how they feel that they can actually succeed in their community. Please, the next slide. Just a little bit of our time frame of where we have been. We started this process right before COVID hit us in March of last year. We then immediately went online. We did a variety of different things in April, May, June, July. And then in August, we began to go back out to the community and do some small meetings, some small personal meetings with interested groups down there. November, we had an open house. Again, in November, we ended up mailing thousands of letters to property owners down there, just like we just mailed a couple thousand notices again to property owners down there. We've had signs that have been put out in the community. And then we had those public hearings in February that brought us full circle to go back out into the community. So the contract before you today is primarily for that engagement. It's that engagement to go through and speak with the community. Next slide, please. On a series of community engagement workshops. The first one was held at the end of March, and we had a pretty good turnout of about 75 people there on a Saturday morning. And we're going to have a series of additional workshops over the next couple of months, leading up to an open house and then back to public hearings again. Next slide, please. So you can see here a couple of those different themes that we'll be working with the community. This Thursday, as a matter of fact, we'll be talking about downtown Wimauma along 674. And then you can see some of the issues that we have with the WVR2, that land use, whether we talk about the community benefit options and infrastructure, or we talk about some of the land development regulations and how we might be able to boost affordable housing through TDRs. And then finally, we'll have our open house again in June as we go towards having public hearings back in front of the Planning Commission and also the BOCC in late summer. Next slide, please. So again, you can contact us here either through myself or Sophia Garantiva, a new hire for the Planning Commission. You can either reach out specifically to us, or you can go onto our website and there's a contact form there as well. Next slide, please. And with that, staff recommends authorizing the executive director to sign the consultant contract with the University of South Florida to continue and complete the Wimauma Community Plan Update and WVR2 Future Land Use Study. This concludes my presentation, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Just check and see if we had any sign up on this one.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Then I will open it up to the commissioners for questions, comments, and discussions on this item. Commissioner Dix, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is to ask our staff. Jay, do you know offhand what the initial contract was with the consultant, dollar-wise?
I can get that information for you. I do apologize for not having that information in front of me.
That's all right. I'm just, I was just really curious. It's not all that it's pertinent to my comment, but
Commissioner, I believe it was $75,000 was the initial contract.
And I guess this question really is to be applied to this one and to the next one. I mean, both of the contracts for the consultants produced proposals that turned out to be inconsistent. And there's logic that would suggest that they were not effective in their initial work. So you kind of wonder why we should continue on with the same consultant. And I'm sure there's an economy of scale there, but I hate to spend another $46,000 here, and then there's $100,000 coming up from the next one in producing the same results. Well, and it looks like you're ready to respond, Melissa, so please go ahead. I think you know where I'm going with it.
Apologize for jumping ahead of the end of the question. I think that Not only are there some economies of scales, but the consultants have had the opportunity to create relationships with the community. I think a lot of the issues that we ran into were very specific consistency issues. It was not as if the whole effort was inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission's findings were very specific to certain discrete issues that we need to go back out and have more conversation on. I think the other issue that surfaced during your public hearing as well as the board's public hearing was that the community really wants to have conversations with each other about some of these issues, and that the reason that didn't happen was not the consultant's fault. That was because of COVID and because we could not have the same kind of community meetings that Jay showed photos of 2 weeks ago. When these projects started, we had very robust outreach at the first open houses, and then COVID hit and everything shut down and they couldn't meet in person with people. So I don't want to characterize that as the consultant's fault. That's not anything they had any control over. They were following our direction on what were the proper protocols and how to proceed. And I think we found it didn't really work very effectively, and we ended up with a couple of issues that there wasn't agreement on from the community.
And I appreciate that. And I greatly respect your judgment. But I also want to make the comment that, if we go twice to the well and we don't have something that produces agreement that we can reach some sort of consistency, I don't think you would find much favor or support in going to it the third time. And that would be applicable to both this one and the next one, which comes before us. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. Are there any more comments or discussion from the commissioners? Commissioner Powell, yes, I see you popped up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I sort of would like to echo what Commissioner Dix was saying. I agree with his analogy of going to the well 2 times, specifically since we got back something that was found to be inconsistent. One of the main issues that I recall the community having was related to either not knowing about the meetings or not being able to attend them, specifically virtually, because a lot of the residents did not have either access to internet or not able to figure out how to get onto online meetings and things like that. And I believe it's my understanding that the majority of the upcoming workshops, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, are they all going to be in person, or will there also be any virtual component to that? Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. Yes, they are all in person. We are exploring having Zooms and other types of formats as something to accompany them, but they are in person.
Okay. And for the folks that are not going to be able to attend, because I'm sure there's just still going to be people that are uncomfortable being around anyone due to COVID. How are we, or does this contract specifically require USF to have any sort of infrastructure in place to facilitate better internet connections for residents, in the Wimauma Village area, so that way they do, if they're not able to attend, that they can at least be able to see things online.
Now, and again, Commissioner Powell, we have a series of 5 or 6 meetings that we're having on Thursday evenings and Saturday mornings. Our community partners that we have down in Wimauma have actually been knocking on doors, doing radio ads, ads in local newspapers down there to actually get the word out so that people know that these meetings are occurring, so that they can actually come over to a park in their community and actually talk to us one-on-one, which again, I think is part of why we did have 75 people, even during COVID, show up at that meeting on Saturday morning, the 27th.
Okay, and I think that's great. I mean, I love to see the participation numbers, specifically, you know, in person, as long as they can be done safely, happen and continue to grow. My only concern is that we're going to come back, you know, again, towards the end of the year, if a resolution hasn't been fully adopted and agreed upon, and people are going to request more time, say, oh, well, we didn't know about the meetings, or the demographic here was a demographic that was very susceptible to COVID and at risk, and they just could not be in attendance, or weren't comfortable being in attendance. We can overcome that. How is even us? I don't think it's our problem. It's USF's problem to figure out. So, like, what are they going to do in order to sort of mitigate that? That's really what I'm trying to get down to.
And again, we have also discussed with the issues of having Zoom platforms, using Microsoft Teams or anything else that we can to actually manage to, I guess, broadcast our meetings as they occur. The first meeting that we had on the 27th, the community Wimauma now actually broadcast that as a Zoom meeting. So they've signed on to the dotted line to where they will be broadcasting these meetings. Also on our website, all materials that we have at these meetings is available ahead of time. So some people, if they are not comfortable being in an enclosed room with people, can actually watch the Zoom and then show up and do the activities that we have set up outside. So I think we're doing a little bit of a better job than we did certainly the first go around, where everything was just a live remote and we were not in the community at all. I wish that we did have an opportunity to put a satellite truck in the middle of the community, but to my knowledge, that is not something that is in the cards for us. But it is certainly something that we're always out there looking for, to see if there is a way in which we can help to broadcast a wider net and bring more people into the planning process.
Okay, because and I was reading through the contract, and the number 2 in the project objective and background, it states to train community members to serve as ambassadors to assist with facilitation throughout the workshops and other outreach activities. So as a part of that, hopefully, I'm sure that'll happen, but just for my own 2 cents, I think that it would be a good idea to make sure that as these community members that are ambassadors, as they do go out into the community, that they are able to show people how to maybe use a computer, or to access the Zoom meetings and things like that. I mean, I know if I try to tell my dad, who's pretty close to 80, hey, Dad, hop on a Zoom call, that's not going to happen. And so I just would, like to ensure, that sort of training and it takes a little bit of time sometimes to sit down with, someone who's a little bit older, and they have to try to sometimes do it a few times and maybe leave them an instruction sheet, on how to, access that. So I just would like to make sure that those folks are not thought about and not having access. So thank you very much, Jay.
Good point, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. All right. I had a couple of questions myself on this one. Listening to the conversation go back and forth, I just wanted you to refresh my mind, Melissa or Jay. WVR2 and the next one, RP2, were the ones where we had quite a bit of work put into them by our staff with the community. Many rounds of meetings, many rounds of back and forth. It went to the board for a workshop. They put some things in there that not everybody was too happy about, came back to us and got found inconsistent, and now we're moving forward. Is that recollection somewhat correct?
Yes, I think that is, I think there were some things that, because of the timing of the BOCC's workshop on the items, that got Their direction got added into the draft that was seen by the public, really for the first time around your February hearing. And so you heard a lot of folks being taken by surprise by certain things being added in. Subsequent to the board's hearing, they specifically made a motion to separate out the wetland density credit piece as a separate amendment from these two, which was one of the things that was kind of all tangled up and creating some confusion. So I think that has been a positive piece. It's made the outreach on because there are remaining items that need to be discussed and vetted with the community and make sure we're arriving at some good solid consensus. But having that piece in particular separated as a separate plan amendment, I think is helpful to being able to focus on those other issues.
Okay. Yeah, and the reason why I asked that question is I've heard some talk, so far about the, I guess, lack of quality work of the consultants that we've hired to do this. Now, I tend to disagree with everyone so far. I don't disagree that going to the well twice once you've had a bad sort of outcome is the best thing. It's never the best thing. But in just strictly looking at the work of the consultants, I thought this was one of the better works of the consultants that I've seen since my time on this planning commission. They were very thorough. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't solve everything. But I thought that they presented what was going on in the community and presented it in a way that allowed us as a board, the community as, the citizens, and the BOCC as the elected officials to all kind of get our minds wrapped around it and bring our own ideas to the table to start to discuss a way of moving forward. In that respect, I think the consultants did a very good job. And I think that the determinants of a consistent and inconsistent finding go well beyond the consultants' efforts. And I don't always say that. You know me, I'm a nitpicker when it comes to consultant work. We've had this conversation about other consultants and other things in the past, but I thought especially with respect to this WVR2 and the RP2 that the consultants did a pretty good job. So I just wanted to say that. Wow. All right, Commissioner Linkus, yes, please.
And I just want to comment that looking at the time frame with March 4th through 7th, I believe being the kickoff, the fact that this community probably does need more time due to the deeply extenuating circumstances, and it looks like we're beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel with COVID, but I think we would want to see the continuation of this process with the folks who've already been deeply involved move ahead.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. Commissioner Handy, yes.
Well, I would like to echo your feelings about the good job that was done. I was very heavily involved in the original Wimauma Community Plan 10 years ago, and boy, we sure could have used them back then. So just by comparison, I think they have done a fine job. I have a couple of questions. One, just for clarity, the wetland density credit that you said is now going to be a separate issue. Was there something in addition to that this board found inconsistent?
I think my recollection, and I don't have the resolution in front of me, but my recollection was it was two primary things. One, the wetland density credit being added, and two, that there was a general feeling that there needed to be more time based on a number of the issues that there was still lack of clarity or consensus from the community on. Okay. Things like, there were a couple of things that just kept having questions, people asking for more time in the public hearing.
Okay. Yeah, because I can, as a resident of Wimauma, it's not only about being unfamiliar with Zoom meetings. It has to do with lack of access to the internet, possibly lack of access to even the computer systems that might be necessary. I know my community fairly well, and I would not be surprised to hear that there were people that didn't have computers at home. So I think that I agree that more time required to involve the community, and I would also say that that is the other big difference between the village plan 10 years ago and the current one, is that there really is a true effort at getting actual residents instead of just outside interests involved. And I think that's very important to actually get an effective community plan going. I have one more question. Was there an alternative to USF considered for this contract?
Not for this contract, because they had been there were initially, back well over a year ago when we decided who to contract with, there were alternatives that we looked at. But USF was also selected because the Wimauma, they had already a pre-existing relationship with the Wimauma Community Development Corporation, and Taryn Sabia, who's the consultant on this, had some ongoing discussions with them. So the relationship with the community, I would say, is one of the big important pieces to why they were selected initially, and then why we would like them to continue on.
Okay, just curious. And I agree. I think not only have they done a good job, I think that it's terrific that we have I guess sort of a neutral party, for lack of a better term, to run something that could become this contentious. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. All right. Looking around for any more comments in the room. Seeing none, seeing no hands raised, I will go ahead and close public comments on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Marino.
I move that we authorize the executive director to sign the contract extension for the Flora Center for Community Design and Research.
I second.
All right. I have a motion of approval authorization from Commissioner Marino, a second from Commissioner Handy. Is there any more discussion from the commissioners on this item? Seeing none, I will go ahead and ask the clerk to call a roll call vote on this item.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Doughty?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Linkus?
Yes.
Marino?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Motion carried 10-0.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is 5C, RP2 Future Land Use Study Consultant Contract, and the presenter is Marianne Abrahamson.
Right, great. Let me know when you can see my screen this time.
We can see it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so good afternoon again, Commissioners. Marianne Abrahamson, Planning Commission staff, here to speak on the RP2 Future Land Use Study Consultant Contract. Here we have a map of the study area, which has not changed since the February public hearing, but for a refresher, the highlighted areas are the RP2 designated lands, which are located outside the urban service area. The moratorium applies to the pink properties within the Baum Community Plan boundary designated by the dashed purple line, and the pink area within the Sun City Center boundary on the southwest of the map. This initial study was requested after the BOCC enacted a moratorium on new rezone applications in December 2019. The study thereafter began in February 2020 with public hearings a year later in February 2021, during which additional in-person public outreach and policy refinement was requested after a year of largely virtual engagement due to the COVID pandemic. So the BOCC has, as of last week, officially extended the moratorium to December of this year. In response to the direction for additional in-person engagement, a series of meetings are planned in Baum this spring and summer, the first of which was held on April 1st and saw about 30 to 35 participants. All materials for this meeting and any subsequent in-person meetings was and will be made available virtually on the project webpage for those who are unable or uncomfortable attending in person. So focused topic meetings on density policies and neighborhood design are scheduled for April 24th and May 3rd. The topic meetings will be streamed, if you will, via Zoom, so virtual participants can watch and ask questions in real time as well. Here are a few images from the April 1st meeting in which both indoor and outdoor activities were available. Additionally, the Hillsborough County Parks Department was on site and played a very valuable role in assuring COVID protocols were met, so we want to thank them for their role in that. So as discussed, we're continuing in-person meetings this spring and summer, with the next ones occurring April 24th, May 3rd, and May 22nd. An open house is anticipated in June. Meetings and briefings with the Planning Commission and the BOCC will occur in May and June, with public hearings anticipated in August and October ahead of the moratorium deadline on December 31st. The staff contacts for this study are myself and Jay Collins, and more information is also available on the project webpage. Staff recommends authorizing the executive director to sign the consultant contract with Kimley Horn and Associates to continue and complete the RP2 future land use study. Thank you again for your time. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Was there anyone sign up for public comment on this one, this item? Melissa? Ms. Renina?
No, sorry.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to the commissioners for comments or questions or discussions on this item. Seeing none in the room, seeing no one on the WebEx, I will go ahead and close public comment on this item and open it up to, do you have a comment, Commissioner Dix? No. I will go ahead and close public comment and open it up to the commissioners for a motion on this item. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually had a question. I'm not sure if we can.
Okay, hang on for just a moment. I'll open it up to motions, and then I'll get you when we do the discussion before the vote.
Okay.
Comments. All right. Is there a motion on this item from anyone? Commissioner Marino?
I move that we authorize the executive director to sign the contract with Kimley Horn.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Marino.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Doughty. And now to Commissioner Powell for some discussion before we vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry I couldn't get on there a little bit faster than my internet's a little slow in Riverview. The contract has for Kimley, I think, is task 2 for beta tests. And was this previously in their first contract that they were going to be doing this, or is this something that's new, just specific to this extension?
So this is something that was not in the original contract. This is new that we're including here, but that we had, mentioned previously, like that this is something that would be helpful to have a visual component, so people can really put these policies on paper, that are written policies, draw them out on paper to have a better visual for everyone really to kind of wrap their heads around what the implications would be to these policy changes.
I mean, I think this is a great idea. And so I kind of wish that this was a part of for the previous study. I'm not sure why that it wasn't included in there or they weren't asked, but I think that would have been, excuse me, extremely beneficial to us and to the community and the stakeholders. But with this particular test, it says in here for the purpose of evaluating the existing code. And will this include at all the wetland density at all, or will they be looking at it based on, hey, you know what, you have the credits now, so that's what we're going to be doing? Because that's obviously going to make a really big difference.
Right, yeah, and so when that, when that issue is resolved, we'll kind of see what the timing is like between that and when these come to fruition. But you're right, it will be evaluating the adopted code and then also what's being proposed. So it really depends on where the wetland density credit issue is. As you know, it's a separate item, traveling separately than the study is. So it depends on the timing of that and what comes from that versus the timing of these beta tests.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. All right, looking for any more discussion on this item. We have a motion on the floor, motion of approval by Commissioner Marino that was seconded by Commissioner Doughty. Is there, yes, Commissioner Dix, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to reiterate that I actually am looking for solutions and results, and I know that you made the comment earlier, and it was well made. I agree with you that you want them to be able to do an in-depth study and help us find, what the sentiment is and what's going on out there. But I'm looking, if we're going to extend this and spend this money again, I'm looking for results and solutions. Otherwise, it's just a fruitless effort. And we're saying that these guys are well qualified and that they are capable of finding results, and first shot they did not, like the other one, and I just want it to be said so that we'll make certain they understand at least my position. I'm looking for results, I'm looking for solutions so we can get this resolved and moved on. Commissioner Handy was right on point. It's 10 years ago, and here we are, we're doing it again. I don't want 10 years to come and Commissioner Handy, and her fellow colleagues coming back and saying, we still haven't resolved all this. So we need to have some sort of resolution as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. Good comments. Yes, Commissioner Doughty.
I'd actually, Mrs. Renita looked like she was going to offer up some additional comments when Commissioner Powell was asking questions about the beta testing, and I'd like to hear what she was going to say.
Well, it relates to the timing of all of these amendments. So the Wimauma and the RP2 amendments are on their own separate track, and that had been our intention, that the wetland density credit would be off separate from them. But then the county has amendments related to transfer of development rights that are coming forward. Those relate very closely to these two studies. So we had anticipated having all of those at a hearing, and it was going to be part of my executive director's report that when we briefed the BOCC in March on the wetland density credit amendment, they asked that come back with a transfer of development rights component. So I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to end up having a hearing that has Wimauma, RP2, TDRs, and the wetland density credit amendments all on the same hearing. So I don't know that we're going to know the outcome of the wetland density credit amendment early enough to know whether to incorporate it in any beta testing that we do.
Okay, and that speaks to the problem. That Commissioner Powell brought up and Commissioner Dix brought up, that if you don't know what rules are going to apply, what good is studying the issue? I'm struggling, unless you can put together a series of examples to say, well, if this passes, this is what it'll look like, and if this passes, this is what it'll look like, but that's just going to make the problem worse and the confusion worse. So I'm struggling with the way it's laid out, and I'm not really sure what the answer might be.
I'm not necessarily I don't disagree with you. I think that The moratorium has now been extended to the end of the calendar year. That has a deadline that we take very seriously, that we want to get these two projects resolved by the end of the calendar year. And by resolved, I mean that they are heard through this body, the BOCC, the state has reviewed them, the board has adopted them, and there's been time for any challenge period to have expired. So that sets us on a certain course for timing of these hearings. The TDR and the wetlands, at this point, I'm anticipating them being on a similar timeline, but that may move. They don't have the same deadline. So I don't know that it'll be any sooner than these studies are heard, quite honestly, but I don't know that those two pieces couldn't come later. But in either scenario, we're not going to know the answer before we do these layouts.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't want the community to be misled into seeing something that might actually not happen and make decisions as far as them approving a community plan based upon a belief that something is, this is what it's going to look like, and then have the rug pulled out from under them, so to speak. And like I said, I don't have an answer as to how to resolve the situation that we are in. I mean, yeah, we have a timeline that we have to deliver by the end of a moratorium, and I'm sure that there's a good portion of our overall community that wishes the moratorium was over now. So, there's, I don't know, it's problematic, but I think some thought needs to be given into how this is actually presented at the meetings and how we move forward, so we don't end up 6 months from now having done a whole bunch of wonderful work and we still don't have any answers because it comes in front of us and a decision's been made 2 weeks before it comes in front of us, and we say, well, none of this stuff represented what it was, so throw it out, it's inconsistent, nope, sorry, start all over again, and everybody wants to extend, and we're stuck in the status quo.
Well, I mean, I think the board's intention in at least separating it from the amendments was to be able to, because the wetland density credit issue applies to was directed to us to apply to the entire rural area. These two categories just are a very small subset of the rural area.
Yeah, I understand.
So I think that one of the things that we have done is at our community meetings, we're making sure the whole team has the same set of talking points, is able to talk about the wetland density amendment at these meetings, answer the questions, because Yanika, who's managing that, is not at every meeting. And trying to be transparent about how these processes intersect but are separate. And I think that's the best we can do at this point as we get more refined language on the TDRs and how that works with the wetland density credit and with these two areas. That's going to probably need to be a topic of discussion with the community.
Yeah, I agree. I want to know how it's going to work too. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Doughty. Yes, Commissioner Dix, please.
I was just curious if you had any idea as to what 3-day meeting we may have to discuss the wetland density credit and these other two issues. Because, I mean, they're going to be huge. And the logic of it, I'm going to go back to what Commissioner Doughty was referring to, is that, I mean, lots of the things that we do in here, I don't hear a whole lot of talk about. It's kind of up in the sky. I mean, but all of a sudden, wetland density credit issue, I mean, that's a huge issue. And kind of depending on the way that goes, since
Hey,
it'll have
Chris,
an effect.
I wanted to show you Rob Jaffe texted me an invite for us to Donovan's birthday party.
Anyway, it kind of seems like we should reach some resolution, and it's not completely up to us, it's completely up to the county commission. We should reach some kind of resolution on that before we continue with the study. And I know that ties your hands, Melissa, and again, I respect your judgment, as I said earlier, and I say that sincerely. And I get the fact that, yeah, there may be more work that needs to be done, but it's pretty doggone frustrating. So what do you think about that? That's the question.
Well, I did, again, as part of my executive director's report, want to talk to you all about a date for the workshop on the environmentally sensitive lands credit. We're looking at May 21st, and then we will be needing probably a special hearing in July at the end of the month to, because I don't think we'll be able to accommodate all of these amendments at our regular July meeting or our regular August meeting. I think we're going to have enough other plan amendments. We have 5 other privately initiated amendments as part of the county cycle. And so yeah, I think we're going to need some additional time to be able to devote to this. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Dix. I'm going to come to you. Let me get to Commissioner Powell first. He's got his hand up on the WebEx. Please, Commissioner Powell, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Doughty brought up a good point that I didn't even think about earlier with TDRs. How are we studying that right now, or are we going to be studying those in conjunction with the wetland density credit? How is that going to be fleshed out?
The county has employed a consultant to assist them with the transfer of development rights, and they are working on, I believe, updated policy and land development code.
Do we know the timeline of that?
We have shared with them the timeline that we would need to see the amendment in order for it to be processed in conjunction with these at hearings this summer.
Because
yeah,
I don't know how that, Kimley Horn will be able to really give us, this 2 scenarios through their beta tests without, the TDRs being, completely flushed out and how that's going to work. Because, that can really be a really large impact.
Well, and I should have said Kimley Horn is the consultant the county is using on TDRs. So there is some synergy within their own office that they are working on the TDR piece and the RP2.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Yes, Commissioner Marino, please.
Sorry. I was going to say this for new business, but I guess it's kind of relevant. For the question for Ms. Abrahamson or anyone on the staff, is it possible for the virtual meetings for this one, the RP2 and even the Wimauma one, if they're being streamed, can they be recorded? And if so, can they either be uploaded onto the Hillsborough County YouTube page or onto Hillsborough TV and maybe even replace a broadcast of one of these meetings or rebroadcast one of these meetings? It seems like, one of the issues we had previously was the level of public outreach, and we can't be perfect right now. We can't have as many meetings as possible. However, if we could at least put that information out there where it's accessible to someone who may not have internet access but may have television access or at least cable access, is because it doesn't seem to come up in either one of those contracts of reproducing or rebroadcasting the virtual meetings. And I would think that in order to at least get the information out as far and wide as possible, obviously there may be a language barrier in some cases, especially in Wimauma, but is it possible that those meetings could live someplace after they're held?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do have the recorded videos. Whenever we have a Zoom meeting or anything like that, we do save the recording to our Planning Commission YouTube page, and then we upload it onto the project web pages. But as far as putting it on air, that's a little outside my purview. So there might be someone else on this call that would be able to answer that portion of your question. But as far as saving the recordings, we have been doing that, and we have them on the project web pages.
And it's certainly something that we could explore with HTV if they would be willing to air some of these as repeats, sometime. I don't know how much, how many more people that will reach. I think we've also been trying to think about utilizing social media to, kind of push certain things out to folks. The Wimauma folks have been extremely effective in making videos of their own community members about why it's important to participate and what they're hearing at the meetings.
Just one more follow-up. Because, for example, Plan Commission is rebroadcast 4 times during the week. And I don't know if it's by rule it has to be broadcast that many times, but we meet once a month. And there's got to be multiple of these virtual open houses for each project. So it seemed to me that could one of those rebroadcasts be RP2 and Wimauma, or some combination? It's going to be hard to get a true public outreach campaign right now. So let's use all the tools at our disposal.
Thank you. Good comments, Commissioner Marino. Commissioner Handy.
Switching gears just a little bit, but so this is an extension of the previous contract with Kimley Horn. Do we have feedback as to how their performance might have been rated, either by the community or by Planning Commission staff? Are they doing what needs to be done?
I don't think we've had any feedback from the community that I know of, unless Jay or Mary Ann want to chime in on that. But I do think from staff, we felt that they had been doing a very good job, and it was our choice to want to continue with them as these projects were extended.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Commissioner Powell, did you have another comment, or were you just on? Okay. Are there any more comments, any more discussion on this item? All right, well, we have a motion to floor, a motion for approval authorization by Commissioner Marino, and a second to that motion of approval authorization by Commissioner Doughty. Seeing no further discussion, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and call roll on this item.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Doughty?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Linkus?
Yes.
Marino?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Motion carried 10-0.
Thank you. All right. Next up on the agenda is item number 6. We are going to our briefings and presentations. 6A is Hillsborough County Land Development Code Amendments, LDC 20-0721, and the presenter is Jawan Haley and Mr. Israel Monsanto. Sorry.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jawan Haley, Planning Commission staff. I'll be presenting Israel Monsanto this afternoon, and he will provide you with a presentation for the proposed Land Development Code amendments for this cycle. So here's Israel. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Israel Monsanto, Hillsborough County Development Services. I'll share my screen. Let me know if you see the...
It's correct.
Thank you. Commissioners, this is the items for the Land Development Code text amendments for round 1 of 2021. The first public hearing in front of the Board of County Commissioners will be this Thursday, April 15th, and the second and final will be on May 20th. for round one of 2021, we have a total of 4 land development code text amendments. The first 2 items that you see on the screen were continued from the previous 2020 round. And these are now part of this first round of 2021, and that's 200721 and 200722. We have 2 more code amendments, and that's 210416 sufficiency review meetings and 210541 land excavation permits. I will present each item, and then I will be available to answer questions after each item is presented. The first item, as stated, this is a continuation from the previous round. This is public testimony by a party of record. With this amendment, party of records would be permitted to provide testimony at the board land use meetings without first having to file a request for oral argument. Anyone providing testimony before the Board of County Commissioners will still need to qualify as a party of record, and their testimony needs to be within the record of the hearing and also the decision made by the zoning hearing masters. And this is the first item, and I'm available if you have any questions on this one.
Yes, Commissioner Doughty, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Israel, I just want to clarify that the change is only removing a requirement to file another step for a party of record to file in order to actually present public testimony, but not removing any requirement that the parties have to establish themselves as a party of record prior to getting to this point. They're not.
That is correct.
Yeah, they're not able to just show up at the commission meeting and speak.
Right. They have to be a qualifying party of record in order to provide the public testimony. That's
okay.
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Doughty. Yes, Commissioner Handy.
What is the time frame and the process required for so the one step is removed? What is the one remaining step involved?
Well, once the cases go to the zoning hearing master, you have to wait for the hearing master to provide the decision. And then after that day, anyone who wishes to provide testimony have 10 days after that date of the decision, 10 days to file the oral argument request with the clerk's office. With this text amendment, the party of record, they don't have to wait, they don't have to file, they don't have to be aware of what day they need to pay attention to or any deadline. They will basically, once the CHM is decided with the letter, then they can just go ahead and plan to speak in front of the board without having that requirement. So now the total timing is between the CHM hearing and the board is roughly 2 months. I don't know if that answers your question.
Actually, I couldn't hear all of that. So no, it didn't answer my question, actually. I understood what you were saying, that the part that was removed. But the part...
So
go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying that once a case goes to the zoning hearing master, there is 15 days for the hearing master to provide the decision. Once the decision is rendered by the hearing master, and this is today, today's requirement. Once the decision is made by the hearing master, any interested party who wishes to speak in front of the commissioners, they have 10 days after that decision is made from that day, 10 days after that to file the oral argument request with the clerk's office. With this amendment, there won't be any time or waiting time, because basically an interested party can just wait until the decision letter to understand if they want to, to just go and speak in front of the board, or if they already plan to speak in front of the board, they just have to make sure that they can go to the Board of County Commissioner meetings 2 months, which is 2 months after the zoning hearing master hearing. So that's the spacing between the hearings.
Okay. Okay, so now you don't have to wait for that certain window in order to request to be a party of record?
Well, yes, you don't have to wait to file because this amendment will not have, you don't have to request or file any oral argument with the clerk's office. Now, you have to be a party of record. The requirement to be a party of record is not going to change. And what makes you a party of record is you have to receive a notice for the case. You have to receive a notice letter. The other requirement is that you have to speak in front of the zoning hearing master at that first hearing. It could be by proxy. Someone can submit a letter on your behalf at the zoning hearing master. So there are requirements to be a party of record before you can then go and speak in front of the commission. That's not changing. What's changing is that you still have to be a party of record, but you don't have to wait for the decision letter from the zoning hearing master and then file a document and send it to the clerk's office, and then you can go and speak in front of the board. That filing of requesting that document and send it, that's the proposal to be removed from this process.
Okay, still, so one step is removed, but there are still several hoops to be jumped through before you could speak at the public hearing in front of the board.
Well, right now, if we remove that portion that you say, the only thing is that you have to be a party of record, which is participate in the public hearing process and qualify as a party of record. Because when you speak in front of the board, you have to be within the record that was put in front of the hearing master for that case. So in order for you to be within that record, you just have to be a party of record.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. I don't see anybody else with hands up or anyone in here, so please continue, Mr. Monsanto.
Thanks. The next item is LDC 200722. This is the time limit to approve plan developments, districts, and general site plans. Time limit expiration would apply only to the internal transportation network and external access points, as well as for any condition related to the internal transportation network and external access points. The expiration of the general site plans will rely upon site construction plans or an equivalent to be approved within 5 years or longer period of time if approved by the commissioners of the effective date of the PD rezoning or the last modification for a specific plan development. The board may approve a duration exceeding 5 years when supported by evidence that the characteristics of the property or the scope, scale, or anticipated timing of phasing of the project would make a longer duration more practical or is reasonable needed to complete a project in its entirety. Upon expiration of a certified PD plan, a recertification will require for the general PD plan, and that will be under a minor modification to the plan development. And then this will be evaluated for consistency with the comprehensive plan and code transportation regulations at that time. A 1-year extension will be permitted for PD general site plans. The time limit proposed by this amendment will not apply to plan developments approved before May 20, 2021, which is the adoption date for this round one, or to any plan development with a complete application was pending as of that date. However, the proposed PD expiration provision would apply to any modification to an otherwise exempt plan development project. And this concludes this presentation for this item.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Linkus, I see you.
Mr. Monsanto, thank you for the presentation. I just was a little unclear with the information that I received. It didn't specify that this was just for the, I believe, the transportation network. Does this in any way include any kinds of the development provisions like density and other kind of development conditions?
No, this is only for internal transportation network, external access points indicated on a general site plan, or a condition related to those specific items related to transportation. Entitlements of density, other approved conditions that won't apply for this expiration.
And I guess I would just be a little bit curious as to why, because my assumption is that this is considering the fact that things do change over time, and if nothing's happened, you want to be consistent with the current comprehensive plan and the vision that the community has. So it's, in some ways, it seems limiting to limit it to just that. So I'm curious why that decision was made.
Yeah, in this particular case, we have seen instances that we have old plan developments, 80s, 90s, 2000, that once they can come back to a modification of the plan development, and they're only changing other portion of the approved project, but current conditions for transportation and roads improvements, they don't necessarily have to change those. So with this amendment, like you just said, condition changes with time, and the commissioners wanted to make sure that plan developments would be adapted or subject to those current code requirements and with the time. So that's why the timing is being proposed here. Community plans, that's something that's each community plan has a separate set of conditions in the land development code. And again, if someone wants to change some conditions on the plan development, it all depends on what they are requesting. But for this particular text amendment, it's only dealing with the transportation, which is one of the more asked and contentious items.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Commissioner Doughty, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd have a question as to the expiration date. Is the expiration, is it basic, is it centered purely upon the date of the approval of the PD site plan, or is it triggered, would it be satisfied by initiation of construction or something along those lines? I mean, if somebody waited 4 years and then started building one of those roadways when the 5 year was up, but they weren't done, does that mean it still expires? Can you expound on that for me?
No, when there will be a provision that there will be language added to this text amendment that once a plan development is approved, you have either 5 years or, depending on whether a project can be approved in more years, that will be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So an applicant can ask for like you see on the third bullet point in the screen. But also within that timing, let's say it's 5 or 6 years, if there is a site construction plan that's submitted, and then there is a timing for that site construction plans, that could be more than the expiration time. So whichever is longer at that point, that will be the expiration date. So like you said, if somebody comes in at the 4th year and then file for construction plans, those construction plans have also an expiration date that may be longer than those 5 years, which may be approaching. But with the construction plan approved, then that extension can apply for that particular project, for the construction plan. So it all depends. So you can have your 5 years timing for the PD, you come in at the 4th year and you get your approval for the construction plans, and then you have an extension, an expiration for the construction plans that could be 3 more years. So that will be then the new timing for that particular project.
Okay, because I can see that situation happening a lot.
Yes.
As well as the ability to ask for a longer time period up front if you had a large enough scale project that was in multiple phases. So, okay, thank you.
Correct.
Thank you, Commissioner Doughty. Did you have another question, Commissioner Linkus, or just a light on?
No,
okay.
Sorry.
All right. Commissioner Handy?
Was there any sunset provision contemplated for this as opposed to existing plans just having no time limit whatsoever?
Yes, for any existing plan development or any application that we currently have that will be before the May 20th, no, they will get their conditions and transportation set unless they come back for a modification of the plan development. If they come back for a minor mod or major mod or a new rezoning, then these regulations will then apply for that specific PD that will be otherwise exempt.
Okay, so no sunset provision ultimately was contemplated for anything approved prior to the approval of this amendment?
Correct.
Well, my comment would be whether or not that should be revisited, because in my experience with changing regulations, it's not always the best thing to make these types of decisions and leave existing previously approved decisions just in perpetuity.
All right, thanks for the comment, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. All right, I see no more lights on in the room and no hands raised, so I would ask you to continue, Mr. Monsanto, please.
Thanks. The next item is LDC 210416, creating a sufficiency review meeting. This amendment will repurpose the mandated pre-application submittal conferences to a mandated meeting post-application submittal. Current pre-application submittal meetings are mandated by the Land Development Code. However, these are based on draft materials that often change prior to the formal application submittal of a rezoning application. A mandated meeting would be placed in time of the review process, which will be after the application submittal, where staff comments have the greatest benefit to the applicant and also the process. This would allow staff and the applicant communication based on more refined application materials will be basically the applications filed for the formal rezoning. The Land Development Code will maintain up the pre-application meetings upon request, but these will not be mandatory anymore. And also, in order to accommodate a post-application submittal meeting, the review schedule for plan development rezoning applications will be revised to include the post-submittal meeting between county staff, planning commission staff, and the applicants in a later date. And this concludes this presentation for this item.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Handy, maybe? No, okay. Check online from the WebEx. I don't see any hands raised, so please continue, Mr. Monsanto.
I think there is one commissioner that.
Oh. No. Commissioner Powell?
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
I've been waiting. I don't have a specific question about this. I was trying to grab your attention, Mr. Monsanto, on the last item there for the. I need to go back on that for 20-0722.
Oh. You need to go back?
Yeah, I had a question on that, and I just don't think I wasn't visible for some reason. Why is this even coming to us right now? Like, why are we putting in this 5-year time frame? Because I like to understand where that came from. Is that the BOCC's direction, or where did that come from?
Right. It came from the BOCC, and basically, again, we have a lot of old plan development zoning districts in the county, and with different subsequent changes, a PD may come in for a change that is maybe changing other entitlements that are not necessarily directed or related to transportation, or is an old plan development and all the current transportation conditions no longer apply, or they don't meet current county standards for sometimes road improvements or connectivity. So this is an attempt to make sure that when you have a plan development project that's too old, you avoid that the condition for transportation when the site is built, the project is built down like 20 years later, is not in compliance with current code standards. So this would allow a plan development project to be revised or revisited every certain time, in this case 5 years or maybe more, to make sure that county standard for road improvements, connectivity are met for that particular period of time.
So let's just say a site is approved to a PD and it's 100 apartments, right? So let's just using that as an example. And the market factors, change, and the particular project is not able to, get off the ground for any reason whatsoever. Maybe it's just a bad time. Maybe we have another, recession like we saw, 08 and so on. So it's not an issue of them like sitting on the project. It was just, hey, it's the market, condition, couldn't get financing, or whatever. Are they going to have to go back through and get all of the same approvals again? Or are we talking, we're just going to look at, the things that you said relating to transportation and connectivity? I mean, or they have to go back through, hey, you lost all your approvals, you just spent $150,000, $200,000, and you got to go do it again.
Well, if like the example that you're giving, if you have a project or a PD for 100 apartments, and again, you were talking about after this is approved, there is a new rezoning, and the rezoning is for 100 apartments, and they have all their conditions related to transportation as well, right? So in 5 years, let's say they went with the 5-year maximum, they didn't ask for any extension. Within 5 years, if they didn't file for any site construction plan for anything, basically that PD will be expired. So if at the 6th or 7th year they think that they can then build it, or they are getting ready to build before they get that construction plan approval, they have to come back to do a minor modification. And that the process will be to make sure that those conditions that were in place, like let's say 6-7 years earlier, are meeting current standards. If they do, then it's just a matter of recertification of the plan. If they don't, they will have to do a modification to that PD to make sure that it meets current transportation technical manual and standard for connectivity and circulation. All the other entitlements, they can remain unless the applicant wants to change those entitlements for whatever reason. But again, it will be if they miss the 6 year or the 5 year, whatever they had approved, when they want to start developing the project, they have to come back and recertify the PD plan, general site plan.
And how easy is it supposed to be to get these, extensions? Are you only granted one extension for 1 year and that's it? Or can the applicant continue to ask for an extension?
Well, the way the code is, the way this amendment is written, there is only one-time extension.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Powell. I see Commissioner Cardenas on the line also.
Yeah, thank you. So I have two questions. One is, once it expires, what happens to the PD? Does it just go away and the property reverts back to its original zoning, or is it a PD with an expired PD? So whatever anybody wants to do with that property, they have to go through the PD process again. And then the other question is, well, I guess you can answer that one quickly.
Yes, thanks. So it won't, the zoning won't disappear. They already, if they did the PD application and they got it approved, but the 5 year or whatever year expires, it's just that they will have to come back to do the rectification just to make sure that the transportation aspect of the PD meets current standards. But it still will be a plan development with all the entitlements they got approved and so on. It's just that the plan development will, before it gets actually developed or constructed, they have to come back and do the recertification of the plan plan development general site plan.
Got it. And then I guess my other question is this retroactive? Is this, once this goes into effect, would it be any PD from, that was done in the past, future? I guess what happens with things in the past?
Right, no, yeah. So the time limit proposed will not apply to currently approved plan developments or any application that is being reviewed or will be filed prior to the May 20th, 2021. So everything approved prior to that date or is on the review prior to that date is not going to be affected by this land development code amendment. And again, like I said, it will be until an old PD plan comes back to a rezoning or change. That's when then all these regulation will then apply, but it's not going to be like affecting any currently approved plan development.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Cardenas. All right, I'm going to pull us back forward to where Commissioner Lucas?
I guess I'm just going to comment that I do believe it is quite common around the country that there are expirations on all provisions for plan development, and that they could certainly exceed just the transportation network, and it could be inclusive of the development pattern, which also could, there could be changes over time that would make such things inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. So I guess I'm curious about the BOCC's direction on this and whether this meets the full thrust of their intent. There's not a question there, just a comment, I guess.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Lucas.
I'm taking notes. Thanks.
All right. I did have a question, if no one has one on that one. I had a question for you, Mr. Monsanto, on 210416, the one you just presented. Post-application sufficiency review meeting. This seems to put another, I guess, step in the development process for people. My question is, is there anything stopping staff right now from having these conversations with an applicant when they go through the process? Why is the need to kind of set up this whole meeting and put this extra step in the process and,
Right. So today the Land Development Code requires there is a mandated pre-submittal meeting conference application. So any plan development that any applicant who wants to rezone a site to a plan development is required by code to have this pre-application meeting with staff, and that includes development services, planning commission, and transportation staff. What happens is that since these are early in the process, before the application is filed, typically we get plans that are not materials, for example, that they could change in the future once the applicant formally submits the application. They can add certain items to the application. So once the process starts and then staff starts reviewing the actual application, then the process becomes more longer. Then we have the staff has to look at new items that were not necessarily discussed at the pre-application phase. So this amendment, what seeks is that to basically move. I mean, we're not necessarily creating a new step. It's just we're not now. This amendment will remove the mandatory aspect of a pre-submittal meeting, and we'll move it after the application is submitted. So the applicant can meet with staff and discuss the actual application, which will be more complete at that point, because the Land Development Code has minimum site and application requirements when you file that application. And that way staff can evaluate a more complete application and give better feedback to the applicant, and staff can also get better feedback from an application when it is filed. So it's basically we're repurposing that mandated pre-application meeting, and we're just putting it later in the process and then eliminating that requirement. So, and that's why we're also looking at the schedule. We're trying to also accommodate that meeting and make that process, expand on the process so we have more time and give more time to the applicant.
So there won't be a pre-application meeting required, then it will be, shifted to this new position in the process timeline, basically.
Exactly, correct. Because again, a post-submittal meeting will ensure that the materials submitted by the applicants will be basically complete. And it won't be like a draft plan or an idea or an applicant asking questions, what can I do in this site? It will be an actual application being submitted, so staff can evaluate better and then provide better feedback to the applicant after it's submitted.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. All right, I don't see any more comments or raised hands on this one, so please continue with the last one, Mr. Monsanto.
Thanks. And then the last item is 210541. This is a special use land excavation permit review and approval procedure. And the purpose is to change the review procedure of land excavation and special use permits. This amendment was directed by the board and will result in special use applications to be presented by the applicant and staff in front of the county commissioner, similar to how minor modifications to plan developments are presented at the land use meetings. Today, special use land excavation permits are processed and reviewed in accordance with the land use hearing officer process. And with this one, what's going to happen is that the board will approve these permits. It's not longer going to be the land use hearing officer. And there is one section of the code, 61154, that will be amended, and part 100600, which is the rezoning personal appearance procedure, that's the section of the code that will then, this type of permit will be subject to. This is all for this item.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Monsanto. Are there any questions or comments on this item? I did have a question on this item myself. I was just wondering, kind of along the same lines as Commissioner Linkus brought up last time, what was the board's impetus for this one? Why do they want to remove the decision-making authority from the land use officer and take it upon themselves? What kind of prompted this, I guess? I mean, they do so much already. I wouldn't want to burden them with even more stuff, it seems like, you know. So
one of the things is that we're, especially in South County, there are new development coming in that area, and the county is seeing these permits coming in for lake creation, and which eventually will be new projects, new residential projects. So I believe that the board feels more, they feel that they should be looking into this type of permits so they can have a better, if you want an understanding of this type of permits being asked.
Okay.
Today, again, is the land use hearing officer has the review and the approval power. So it's just that the board feels that this type of permit needs to be presented in front of them.
And I have one more question. Just, you know, my assumption is that obviously you guys are working closely with the legal staff at the county to kind of hash out this sort of stuff, because it seems like, you know, there's a pretty big kind of shift in authority here to just remove it from a land use officer, which is an external sort of person to the politics, to pull it into the political arena of the elected officials. So, and I don't know, I'm not the lawyer, but this seems like it's going to be very touchy and messy before it gets clean. So I'd like to know or hear just some sort of confirmation from you that the attorney's office is involved heavily in this, and maybe when this comes back for a decision, there might be someone with legal background to speak on these things.
Sure. Yeah, I can make sure that we take your comments for this one. But the county attorney's office is always involved in all of these reviews. But yeah, I'll take your comment.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, Commissioner Handy.
Yeah, I have a comment along those lines. Coming from South County myself, there are a lot of these land excavations going on, and particularly in the Balm community, and I know the residents are getting tired of everything that goes with it, and Wimauma is sort of in the crosshairs next as far as those types of land excavation permits. And I would guess that perhaps the board is responding to the feeling of underrepresentation that is a pretty common feeling down in South County, and that their elected officials would probably serve their interests better than a land use hearing officer. If I could just perhaps for a moment represent what's going on in South County in that regard. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy.
Thanks.
All right. Seeing no other comments, I don't see anyone on the WebEx. That's right, hopefully. All right. I will thank you for that presentation, Mr. Monsanto, and the information.
Welcome.
And we will move on to our next item. 6B, TACPA 2101, Land Use Policy 3.5.6 Text Amendment, and the presenter is Jennifer Malone.
Jennifer Malone with your Planning Commission. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. This is a text amendment to the Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment, and it is for LU Policy 3.5.6. The LU stands for land use. That's the section of the plan it will be going in. And I'm Jennifer Malone for the record. This is a privately initiated amendment. The proposed policy will allow for a proportionate weight of density and intensity if the subject site
Ms.
is
Malone, could you hang on for just one moment? We're having a little bit of trouble hearing you in here. I don't know if we could get the volume turned up in here or a little quick sound check, please.
Jennifer, can you try talking again?
testing. Hello?
It's still pretty low.
Yeah.
We are hearing her okay on WebEx. We are testing out the room. Jennifer, next to the mute button, there's a little downward arrow. If you click on that, there should be a button that says settings right above that. So next to the mute button, there's a little downwards arrow, like it's connected to the mute button.
Okay.
Oh, you might not see it because you're still sharing your screen, yes.
Okay, I'm on the settings.
Okay, and if on the bottom, if you just, there should be two little bars there. One says input volume. If you could just click and drag that to the right.
It's already all the way to the right.
Okay, and do you see automatically adjust volume?
Yeah, that's clicked.
Okay, go ahead and unclick that.
Okay, how's that?
Then we'll try that and we'll see if it works from there.
Okay.
Commissioners, are we hearing her better?
Let her speak and then we'll be able to tell.
Testing.
Yeah.
Okay, so is everyone hearing me better?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Would you like me to start over with the presentation?
Sure, yes.
Okay, so this is a privately initiated amendment. It will allow a proportionate weight of density and intensity if the subject site is located within two future land use designations through approval of a plan development or plan development alternative zoning. This mechanism is already allowed through a policy in the comprehensive plan, but is only permitted within the urban villages of the city. The proposed policy 3.5.6 would allow this mechanism within lands in the central Tampa planning district. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. I don't see any lights on in the room, and I don't see any hands raised on the WebEx, so I will thank you for the presentation, and we will move on to our next item. 6C, TACPA 21-02, and the presenter is David Hay.
David, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
I don't see David on the call at the moment.
I see him.
Yeah, I see him as a participant.
But he is muted.
How's this? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, now we can hear you, sir.
Okay, there we go. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry about that. All right. This second item in your Tampa briefing is TACPA 21-02. Again, it's David Hay with your Comprehensive Plan and Policy Review Team. This briefing site is located south of East Henry Avenue and east of North 47th Street. Here we have a general location of the subject site. It's located within the University Planning District. More specifically, it's located in the Northeast Community Live Oak Square neighborhoods, right up here in kind of the northeast area of the city. Here we have an aerial of the subject site. The subject site is in the middle of the screen, outlined in red. We have East Hillsborough Avenue down to the south, and then you have North 48th Street and Shipment Court that both go northward. North 48th Street dead ends into the site. Shipment Court takes a left right below the site. So, and then it goes out to North 47th Street, which is along the western property boundary. This dashed line is unincorporated county, so everything out here is out in unincorporated county. And then North 48th Street dead ends on the northern portion of the site from the county into the subject site. You could see East Hillsborough Avenue is mostly commercial, and then there is some light industrial uses further to the east along North 50th Street. To the south, west, and north is all single-family detached. A little background of the subject site. This is publicly initiated by the city of Tampa. It is small scale. It's approximately 7.42 acres in size. The current future land use category is residential 10, and the city is seeking to go to community mixed use 35, future land use category. And just for reference, this is Shipman Court, where it turns to go out to 47th Street. This is the subject site at the end of this road. Here we have the adopted future land use map. The tan color, the site is represented by the tan color, and all the parcels surrounding it on three sides are the residential 10 future land use category. Immediately to the east, in the bright red, is the community commercial 35, and that's also down along East Hillsborough Avenue. Then the north, when you go into unincorporated county, the yellow represents residential 6, and then the east side of 50th Street right here, you can just barely see all the light industrial uses represented by the gray. Here we have the amendment. If it is adopted, the site turns to that kind of pinkish color, which represents the community mixed use 35 future land use category. Currently under the residential 10, the site can be considered for 72 dwelling units or a maximum of 110,000 square feet of non-residential uses. The subject site under the Res 10 does have to meet commercial locational criteria for any non-residential uses. Under the community mixed use 35, the density intensity does increase up to a maximum of 161 dwelling units or a maximum of 630,000 square feet. Again, this proposed amendment would allow for additional density intensity and would introduce the possibility of the RM12, RM16, RM18, RM24, and the CG zoning districts. There is no commercial locational criteria under the community mixed use 35 future land use category. That's it for this one. If you have any questions, I am available.
Thank you, Mr. Hay. Are there any questions from the commissioners on this item? I'm not seeing any lights. Commissioner Dix, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hay, I appreciate your presentation, and I mean, you explained it real well, but I'm just trying to understand what the logic of wanting to increase the density like that to kind of an island surrounded by, you know, the 10 units per acre, which would, as normally is proposed to become.
Well, I believe the city is on, but they have submitted through their application that they are seeking to increase the density for to develop affordable housing. We've advised them that you know, the land use basically runs with the land. So we need to look at all potential uses under that proposed community mixed use 35. And we do have additional meetings scheduled with city staff in the coming weeks to discuss.
So I guess my follow-up question to that would be, is it would seem logical that this would be a benefit to, I understand the city owns that, but I mean, it would be a benefit to increase the density of that property. And since it's public initiated, is there any thought process to contact the adjacent property owners, which could also benefit from the same type of change?
We have had discussions that depending on how this amendment proceeds forward, if it's amended or changed in any way or proceeds as it's being submitted, we may have to recommend, to look at properties surrounding it, depending on whether it is approved or not. That would come at a later cycle, though.
Yeah, well, I guess my thought process behind it, and I've kind of stated this so many times over the years, is it just seems logically to, if it's good for the area, it ought to be globally good, and we ought to do it all at one fell swoop rather than doing it piecemeal and requiring surrounding owners to initiate private requests for change.
Yes, and that may, if how this proceeds and whether it's approved or not, that there may be recommended changes in the future to surrounding properties.
But that would require them to initiate it themselves, correct? The private owners?
We have had internal discussions that, of course, we would, if that recommendation was moved forward, of course, we would work with the property owners within that area. And we've done it in the past where the Planning Commission has initiated, in cooperation with the property owners, land use changes that would affect their properties. So I can't say right at this moment. It all depends on where this ends up and how it goes. But that is one of the options, that there be publicly initiated amendments on private property if the property owners agree.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. Was there any more questions or discussion from any of the other commissioners? I don't see anyone with their hands up on the WebEx. No one in the room. All right. I'll thank you, Mr. Hay, and we will move on to our next item, 6D, TACPA 2103, Future Land Use Map Amendment, and the presenter is Jennifer Malone again.
Hi, this is Jennifer Malone. I'm actually going to introduce our Planning Commission fellow Nathan Smiley will be presenting on this item. So I will turn it over to him.
Hello, I am Nathan Smiley, presenting the Tampa Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment 2103 at 809 West Linebow Avenue. The general location of this site is in the north within the University Design District and the East Forest Hills neighborhood. To the north of the subject site is a small residential subdivision. Beyond that is John Quincy Adams Junior High School and Forest Hills Elementary School. To the west is undeveloped land. The south has a church and apartments for the elderly and another residential neighborhood. To the east of the subject site is an empty lot in another church. This plan map amendment is privately initiated and is a small scale at 0.5 acres. The land use changed from residential 10 and residential 20 to residential 20. On the adopted future land use map, the subject site is surrounded by residential 10 to the north, south, and east, with residential 20 on the west and residential 6 further west. There is a small sliver of residential 20 on the west part of the parcel, with the rest of the parcel being residential 10. On the proposed future land use map, the subject site is entirely residential 20. Under the existing land use, it would allow for 5 dwelling units and 8,712 square feet of non-residential. Under the proposed potential land use, it would allow for 10 dwelling units and 11,905 square feet of non-residential. The proposed plan amendment will allow for greater intensity and density for the subject site. Any proposed non-residential uses will be required to meet commercial locational criteria in both the existing and proposed future land use designations. Jennifer can answer further questions regarding this plan amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. And Ms. Malone. All right, are there any comments or questions from the commissioners? I see no lights in the room. I see no hands on the WebEx. Given a moment for Commissioner Powell. Nope, no hands, no lights. All right, thank you both very much, and we will move on to our next item. TA CPA 21-04. And the presenter is David Hay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. David Hay again with your Comprehensive Plan and Policy Review Division. Next up in this briefing is a proposed text amendment. It's text amendment 21-04. This text amendment is in regards to the neighborhood mixed use future land use categories. The City of Tampa is seeking to amend the NMU 16, the NMU 24, and the NMU 35 future land use categories. You may remember these categories came out of the Central City studies, more specifically the West Riverfront plan, which ended up creating these unique future land use categories to implement the vision of the West Riverfront plan. The city is seeking to tweak those categories. They are looking to remove the requirement that buildings must be either residential or vertical integrated mixed use to be able to utilize maximum floor area ratio. Currently, like for instance, under the NMU 35, vertical integrated or residential could get a 1.5 FAR, but standalone office or commercial was limited at a 1 FAR. This would now remove that restriction, and all development could seek a maximum of a 1.5 FAR. They're also seeking to add the word general in the land use description, thus allowing consideration for additional general commercial uses that are not currently permitted in the NMU zoning code. If you're familiar with the neighborhood mixed use categories, there are specific zoning codes that implement them. They are proposing to add the general into the description in the comp plan, and that will allow greater flexibility in allowing for general commercial uses in that area. So based on that, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Hay. I am not seeing any comments or questions. Lights on in the room. I don't see any hands raised on the WebEx. So we will thank you for that presentation, Mr. Hay, and we will move on to our next item, or items, I guess. TA CPA 2105 through 2110. Mr. Collins, are you going to do them singularly, or are you going to run through them all? How do you want to handle this?
Hi, everyone. The first amendment is 2105 is a privately initiated amendment, so I'll do that one first and then move into the parks. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Good Good afternoon. This is Danny Collins with your Planning Commission staff. This is Tampa Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment 2105. The subject site is in the Central Tampa Planning District. It's located here on the locational map. It's within the historic Ybor neighborhood, and it's also within the local historic district. So this one will ultimately be heard by the PLC prior to go to City Council. Here's an aerial map of the subject site, the surrounding properties. The request consists of 6 parcels, with one just south of Adamo Drive, remaining just north of Adamo Drive. Quick background, this is a privately initiated amendment. It's small scale in size. It's approximately 3.6 acres. And the request is to change the future land use from light industrial and heavy industrial to regional mixed use 100 on 3.05 acres and community mixed use 35 on 0.55 acres. Here is the adopted future land use map. The parcel on the south side of Adamo Drive is currently under the heavy industrial category. Just to the south of that, you'll see 100. That's this is channel side just to the south. The northerly parcels are all under the light industrial category, represented by the light gray. You'll see that there's CMU 35 to the north and west of the subject site. There's one parcel that's currently under the RMU 100 to the west. And then there's RMU 100 to the south of the subject site. Here is the proposed future land use map. The southerly parcels are being proposed to go to the RMU 100 category, and the northerly parcels are proposed to go to the CMU 35 category. Currently, industrial categories, residential development cannot be considered on the site. Under the industrial categories, the sites can be considered for a total of 235,230 square feet of non-residential development. As proposed under the CMU 35 and RMU 100 combined, the sites can be considered for a maximum of 324 dwelling units or 512,917 square feet of residential or non-residential development. So this would allow for the consideration of higher residential density and greater commercial intensity on the subject site, and also potential industrial uses from the site. Are there any questions?
I don't see any lights on in the room or any hands on the WebEx at this moment, so I will ask you to continue, Mr. Collins. Thank you.
I think Commissioner Powell.
What? Yeah, Commissioner Powell's got his hand up. Please go ahead, Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Danny, I just wanted to ask, with the with the change, I know that the city of Tampa doesn't have a lot of land that is available for industrial uses, and we had looked a few years ago at the total number of land that's available for that. So I do think that this area might be shifting away from that just with the growth pattern. But with the proposed use, does that still allow for light industrial uses? Is just going to really make this, their square footage is allowable, like just more? Is that really what we're looking at here?
No, this would remove the potential of industrial from the subject sites under the CMU and RMU 100 category.
So those categories don't allow for any similar light industrial uses at all?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Are there any more discussion or questions? I don't see any more hands raised. So please continue, Mr. Collins. Thank you.
Okay, I gotta exit out of this one. Just one moment, I'm pulling up the parts. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, this is Danny Collins again with your Planning Commission staff. The next set of amendments are the park amendments. It's TACPA 2106 through TACPA 2110. Our next batch of parks includes 5 parks that are scattered throughout the city. We'll look at Collins Park, which is in the Central Tampa Planning District. Then we'll go up to the University Planning District for Temple Crest Park, and then back down to the Central Planning District for Woodlawn Cemetery. And then we'll hop over to Daniel Del Rio Pool, and then down to South Tampa for the Sierra Circle Park. Quick background of the requests. These are publicly initiated by Tampa City Council to recognize existing City of Tampa parks. Each park is listed on the City of Tampa's dedicated park list, and all sites would be recognized through the recreational open space future land use designation. Our first park is TACPA 2106. It's Collins Park. It's in the South Tampa Planning District. It's within the historic Hyde Park neighborhood, and it's within the Hyde Park urban village. Here's an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. It's on the southwest corner of West Deckle Avenue and West Southview Avenue. You'll see it's predominantly surrounded by residential. 1 block to the west is South Howard Avenue, which has some commercial uses. Here's the adopted future land use map. Currently the subject site's under the residential 10 future land use designation. It's surrounded by that R10 to the north and west. To the south is residential 35. And then 1 block to the west along Howard Avenue is CME 35. Here is the proposed future land use map. Currently, the request would remove the potential of residential and non-residential development from the subject site. Are there any questions? Our next park is TACPA 2107. This is Temple Crest Park. It's in the University Planning District, and more specifically, it's in the Temple Crest neighborhood. Here is an aerial of the subject site and the surrounding properties. You'll see it's on the southwest corner of East Yukon Street, and it's in North 37th Street. Riverview Drive runs along within the park. This is the Hillsborough River to the west. Here is the adopted future land use map. You'll see a majority of the sites currently under the recreational open space category. There's a small piece to the south that is under the residential 20 category, and then to the north west of the subject site are lands currently under the residential 10 designation. Here is the adopted future land, or the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space category. This request would remove the potential of 25 dwelling units or 37,500 square feet of non-residential development from the subject site. Are there any questions? Our next park is TACPA 2108. It's Woodlawn Cemetery. It's within the Central Tampa Planning District. It's within the Tampa Heights neighborhood, and more specifically, it's within the Tampa Heights urban village. Here is an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. You'll see the site's predominantly surrounded by residential on all sides. Here is the adopted future land use map showing the subject sites under the public, semi-public designation. It's surrounded by that residential 10 on all sides, and then to the south is land designated under the recreation open space category. Here is the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space category. Currently under the public, semi-public designation, the density intensity is determined by the existing surrounding development pattern, and therefore it's defined at this time. As proposed under the recreation open space, it would remove that potential residential or non-residential development from the subject site. Are there any questions? Our next park is TACPA 2109. It's Daniel Del Rio Pool. It's in the University Planning District, and more specifically, it's on the East Forest Hills neighborhood. Here's an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. It's approximately 1 block north of the intersection of West Linebaugh Avenue and North Boulevard. It's to the south of Adams Middle School and Forest Hills Elementary. And you'll see that there's predominantly residential to the west of the subject site, and then also on the east side of North Ola Avenue, there's residences. Here is the adopted future land use map. Currently, it's under that residential 10 future land use designation. Res 10's to the east, or I'm sorry, is to the northeast and west of the subject sites. Directly to the south is land designated residential 20. Then 1 block to the west is land designated residential 6. Here's the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space category. This request would remove the potential of 12 dwelling units or 43,391 square feet of non-residential development from the subject site. Are there any questions? Our last park is TACPA 2110. It's Sierra Circle Park. It's in the South Tampa Planning District, and more specifically, it's in the Belmar Gardens neighborhood. Here's an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. The request consists of 1 folio with 3 different lots found along West Seville Street and along South Shamrock Road. Here is the adopted future land use map. It's currently under the residential 6 designation. Here is the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space category. This would remove the potential 7 dwelling units or 18,600 square feet of non-residential development from the subject site. Are there any questions? And then I just to wrap up the Tampa plan amendments with the brief timeline. Today was the briefing on April 12th. This will come back on May 10th for the consistency finding. And this concludes my presentation. For any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Yes, I do see Commissioner Marino has a question for you. Go ahead, please.
And thank you, Chair. And this may be a more of a procedural question for Mr. Collins, but for TACPA 2103 and then TACPA 2109, so the West Linebaugh and Daniel Del Rio, I noticed on the future land use map, Forest Hills Elementary and Adams Middle School were not marked as educational. Is that just an oversight, number one? And number two, similar to what Commissioner Dix always says with why not put these projects on at the same time? If you're going through and adding the recreational open space for the pool, couldn't you just add on the schools that are right next to it? I know it's 2 different things, but as you go through, or I guess maybe as the city goes through this process, where you see those inconsistencies, couldn't you just do it at the same time, or does it have to be in a particular cycle?
Well, the purpose of this amendment is to recognize the City of Tampa dedicated park list to the under that recreation open space category. The school is, from what I understand, wouldn't be considered as part of that. It'd be recognized under a different category, like the public, semi-public category. So this would be a different request.
Yes, but I understand that aspect. But what I'm saying is as you go through, because this has been a process for now at least a year doing the parks and open space. So as that process goes on, is there any consideration, like in this circumstance, where you see an obvious difference between the current land use map that says it's educational and the future land use map that says it's R10, even though your job is to do the recreational open space? Are you able to identify those so that we come back at a certain point, like we did for, I remember specifically Robinson High School, are you able then to go back and say, okay, these were the ones that we haven't identified, so we could do these school sites at the same, in a similar manner, do these school sites just as we're doing the recreational open space for the city?
I think that's...
Commissioner, this is David Hay. If I could just try to answer that question. The school, we're always looking for opportunities to refine our future land use map, and we do get into discussions when we see issues either with sometimes private property owners. We've come in with amendments before. We have not had direction from the school board that they want, to go to a wholesale category as public. We will always entertain discussions with them to ensure that their future land use categories that are assigned for their schools best represent what their long-term activity is. But as of right now, the direction from the city is we're working through these parks amendments. We have and Melissa can attest to this, we have a listing of stuff that we would like to work on. A lot of it comes down to manpower and coordination and time and things like that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Marino. Are there any more comments or questions, discussions from the commissioners on these parks? I don't see any hands raised online, so I will thank you for the presentation, and we will move on to our next item. 6L, non-discrimination plan, purpose, update, process, and historical background, and the presenter is Joshua Barber.
I apologize, everyone. I was muted. Hello, commissioners. I was wondering if we could get a time check on how long we have to present. It is a bit of a long presentation.
Ooh.
It's really up to the commission. I would say to do the presentations justice, you saw them in your backup. They are lengthy. We are getting close to our 5:30 public hearing, and if you all want to take a break before that, it's up to you. We could reschedule these items for your May meeting in hopes that we have a longer time to go through them. So I would be seeking your input on that.
Oh, what time is it? 4:45. Yeah, if these are going to run pretty long, there's two of them. And if they're going to run long, that obviously means more than 15 minutes. So if possible, I mean, I'd like to get everybody's opinion up here just to make sure that you're all okay with continuing these two items, possibly moving them. Okay.
Yeah, they're not time sensitive. We certainly want you to see them before we bring back recommendations on the non-discrimination plan, but we will not be doing that in May. So there would be time to have the presentations and have more time, hopefully. Because I think the content is quite valuable.
Right. Okay. Let's do that then. So that's L and M.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion to continue them, or do we just do it by fiat?
I mean, they weren't action items, so I don't
Okay.
know if Tracy feels you need a motion or not.
I see Tracy on there. Oh, we can't hear you.
You're muted.
Excuse me. I would suggest you go ahead and do it by motion.
Okay. All right.
Okay, yeah.
All right. We have a motion to move it by Commissioner Doughty and a second to that motion by Commissioner Dix. Is there any comments or discussion on any of that? Not seeing any. I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and take a roll call vote on that.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Doughty?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Lingus?
Yes.
Marino?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Motion carried 10-0.
Thank you. All right, with those two items moved, we will move right on to our next item on the agenda, number 7, the evaluation of the executive director. And the presenter is, the presenter's me and Tracy Robbins. So with that, I will turn it over to Tracy Robbins.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
We simply, I think, have distributed to the board the consensus of the planning commissioner's evaluations. This is all set up to be guidance for the commission and show a consensus of agreement between the various commissioners on the topics that were subject to Ms. Zornita's evaluation. And if there's any questions about that, I'll be glad to try and answer them. For the new commissioners, this was a system that was set up many, many years ago to try and help the commissioners evaluate not only Ms. Zornita, but how their fellow commissioners were evaluating her, which seems to have worked pretty well over the years.
All right, well, there any, Commissioner Dix, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess this is the 4th time that I've had the privilege of doing this, and I appreciate the mathematical correction from earlier today, because you were coming up with an average or a mean score in excess of what is humanly possible, since it was 5.02, I believe, 5.4 on the relative scale. So anyway, I want to compliment the executive director on working hard to come up with some type of quantitative analysis versus qualitative over the years, and you've done an outstanding job with that. I personally, and I think certainly reflected by all members of, or by all commissioners, I am very satisfied. I think you're doing a fine job. I think you're doing a great job. I hope that you want to be here for many, many years to come. I do think, however, that it's really a disservice to you to have such a scale that, you know, and I've said this before, so it's not new to you. You know, where you have a 3 that meets expectations, a 4 that exceeds expectations, a 5 that's remarkable. Yeah, I often reflect on something like when NASA sends up a rocket, or even SpaceX sends up a rocket. You know, we're all thrilled with what it does, and particularly with SpaceX, when they now can take the external booster and reverse thrust and land it, you know, at a specific spot, you know, near the Cape where it went off. You know, that's remarkable to me. But yet when you're hearing them broadcast, they'll say, you know, return entry by the external boosters is nominal. And nominal simply means that it met the expectations. And for it to exceed nominal, I don't know what else it could be done, because it's so dadgum remarkable. You know, if you and your family were ever decide that Florida is not for you and you want to go to the mountains or something, you apply to Denver and you walk in and you say, you know, I have a mean average score over the last several years that is approaching 5, which is perfection. I mean, last year I referred to that as saying only something that Jesus could accommodate. And yet here we have some of your scores, you know, you've got one situation where you have all 5s all the way across except for 1. And I don't know how anybody can be remarkable in every single thing. So I say that to tell you that in one respect, I don't want you to think that I don't think you're doing a fine job. I continue to have the very lowest score of you every single time. But it's because you'll notice there's never an occasion which I said, you didn't meet our expectations. You're doing exactly what I want you to be doing. And there's a couple of times that, you're exceeding them. So I guess what I'm saying to you is that I hope that in future years, you can take what you've done, which was to establish some quantitative measures. And when you send out this thing, you actually put it in the document some way, in your letter to commissioners. I'm supposed to come up with, to meet expectations, I'm supposed to come up with 200 new maps every quarter, or whatever the number was. And I came up with 222. And I can say, well, wow, great, she exceeded it. And then I can give you a 4, or if it was 198 or 176 or whatever. I mean, I need to be able to refer to those quantitative numbers that you've established in order to give you that kind of thing. And because right now I feel like when it went out, we're back to really kind of doing kind of a massaging kind of situation about how well I like Melissa and she's just doing a wonderful job, and so I want to give her 4s and 5s. And I think, frankly, that gives you a disservice, because I want you to have a real reflection of how you're doing and how well you're doing. And so I'm at least glad that we cleared up the number so that you didn't come up with a mean or average score of 5.4. That would be a little high. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. Good comments. Mr. Doughty, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Melissa, you've been executive director for 6 years now. Is that what you said? My goodness. I'm going to kind of second some of what Commissioner Dix has said and thank him, because I'm no longer the person who gives the lowest scores. But I tend to agree with him, and I think you've known from my comments over the years that you're doing the right job, and I score you as doing the right job, but I tend to agree also that it's kind of hard to reach a perfection, and while the job is challenging, it is the job. So I also did not score you below expectations anywhere and above expectations in a few slots, and I believe that's an accurate representation of what you're doing on the job. And I agree with Commissioner Dix that it kind of does you a disservice, and I just liken it to in the business world, we have to review our employees on a regular basis, and our corporate masters are always reminding managers that a 3 is not a bad number. Okay, you don't have to. That means the person is doing their job and meeting your expectations, and there's nothing wrong with a 3. So stop giving everybody 4s and 5s. And my take on that is I want to make sure, and I would like to, express to my fellow commissioners that we are scoring Melissa. We're using this thing to base pay increases and et cetera, on, and I want to make sure that we're evaluating her in a similar light as the entire staff gets evaluated, and that things don't get skewed in an improper fashion. And I will second what Commissioner Dix said, that I have no complaints, and do hope that you wish to stay for as long as you continue to meet expectations. But I tend to question when I see 5s across the board as to whether or not it's a realistic representation of what you're doing, and I do believe that you have taken to heart our suggestions when we've asked for more definitive items, and would agree with him too that if you could say, yeah, my target was 200 and I did 220, those types of things, it's easier to make those judgments. So that's enough. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Doughty. Yeah, Commissioner Dix, please.
Just real quick, I was going to tell you privately, I'll tell you publicly. Commissioner Doughty, this is a compliment, seriously. I noticed that in the evaluations, you actually gave some 3.5s. And I mean, I considered that, and I didn't do that. I almost wanted like a 3.3, 3.7. Tracy, are you there? Can we do that? Is that okay? 3.69?
Yes, you absolutely can, when we've had commissioners do that in the past.
Perfect. And maybe we, you know, are more specific about it. Maybe it's not 1 through 5, maybe it's 1 through 100, and it's, you know, here's the 30s and here's the 40s or whatever. I just think that there's got to be a more precise and better way than what we've been doing for the last, you know, 4 times that I've been doing this. And again, I applaud you for coming up with some quantitative things. That was a great start. But we've got to make it better so you get a true reflection. Good work, Derek.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. Yes, Commissioner Linkus.
I just want to comment that I did refrain from participating in the evaluation because I had just come on in a week or so before the call went out. But I just do want to comment that in my role in 7 years of educating emerging planners and watching them go into the community, that I really notice folks gravitating towards positions in the Planning Commission. And I really think that speaks really highly to the fact that through word of mouth and that people hear and see this is a good place to work. This is where talent can be appreciated and cultivated. And so I do feel like this expresses that Melissa's performance goes far beyond Melissa, and that she's supporting a culture around planning and making this a desirable place to be a planner and do good work. And I've absolutely seen that over the 7 years that I've trained at planners in the community.
Thank you for those comments, Commissioner Linkus. All right. Let me check on the WebEx to make sure. For my own part, I will say my score obviously came up from last year. Remember what happened last year. I would like to commend you, like everyone else has up here. You do a great job. Specifically, I know we talked last year and I asked you to take on some things and focus on some things and open your mind to some things and some ways of thinking. And I just wanted to tell you that I think you've done that very well. So that's what you see in my score coming back up, is, as you've always done, you taking the challenges that I put out and just grabbing them and exceeding and excelling with them. So I did want to thank you for that and just say, keep up the good work. All right. And seeing,
if I might respond, I did want to thank you all for your review and all of your kind words. Goodness, this is something I take a lot of pride in, and that you all think the agency is on the right course is important to me, and that you see us cultivating good talent and things like that, and rising to the challenges. That means quite a bit to me. The 5-point scale we switched to, and I can't remember exactly how long ago that was, but to mirror that staff is rated on a 5-point scale. So I'm certainly open to changing it, or you all can change it by giving 3.5s and things like that. So however we want to address that, I'm open to that. I would like to bring back in the coming months an update to the quantitative measures, because many of them we did, like for example, the mapping one, we exceeded by quite a bit, I think, because we'd never had that standard before. We weren't exactly sure. So now I think we can better calibrate those standards. So I'll be bringing that back in the coming months. I did want to just be very clear on the record that this is the meeting where many times you all discuss compensation. I do not want you to discuss compensation. I don't seek any additional compensation. Staff did not receive any additional compensation in this fiscal year, and I do not want to as well. So thank you all very much. It's a privilege to continue to serve in this role.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I guess, yeah, I was going to kick it over to compensation review, but I guess that pretty much puts an end cap on that one as long as I have agreement from everyone up here. Okay. Do we have to vote on that or document that, Tracy?
No, there's no action required.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Ms. Zornita. All right. We will move on to our next item, item number 8, the Executive Director's Report, and the presenter is Melissa Zornita.
All right. Thank you. So a couple of things I covered earlier in the meeting regarding the wetland density amendment and us getting some direction at the March 9th workshop there. I did also want to mention that I've had a number of meetings. It's not all reflected in these meetings with the City of Tampa. They have, there's been a lot of discussion at City Council regarding similarly them initiating a moratorium on development, and they have changed course and have instead initiated a plan amendment to remove the floor area ratio being used for density in certain mixed-use land use categories, the CMU 35, CC 35, and UMU 35, UMU 60, sorry. So that has been something that they have been hearing from a lot of constituents in particularly the area south of Gandy Boulevard about increased density and particularly multifamily density. And so they've looked at it in a number of ways. We've assisted them with a number of data points to look at that. And ultimately, they have City Council at their meeting 2 weeks ago. It wasn't last week. I guess it was 2 weeks ago. To determine that this was the way they wanted to approach it. So that will be coming to you as part of the May cycle of plan amendments. I think City Council has to take a final action on it this Thursday, but they have transmitted a resolution initiating that plan amendment to us. So that will be coming forward in the next cycle. We've got a couple of other meetings scheduled ahead for you all. We're looking at, as I said, May 21st from 1 to 3 o'clock, the workshop on the environmentally sensitive lands credit. We will send a scheduler for that. It will all be virtual. Our intention is to have EPC participate in that meeting and the property appraiser's office to discuss the process for the EPC's review of wetlands and then the property appraiser to discuss their valuation of pieces of property, because that was something that was a topic in that discussion. I think Sharon just sent out a scheduler for the Public Information Committee to meet on April 23rd from 2 to 3. Again, this will be a virtual committee meeting. For our new commissioners, the Public Information Committee is a volunteer committee of planning commissioners who are interested in helping us, in particular, plan our large public education events like the awards program. And so I know in particular, Lynn has on tap for this agenda some discussion about how to approach the awards for the coming year and timing of that, given that we're coming out of COVID and how to look at that. Last year, we did a video production. The last additional meeting that I would like to mention is that we, as I mentioned, with all of these plan amendments coming forward in the summer, I think we will be needing for sure your regular July meeting for a hearing, if not a regular meeting. And that's on, I believe, sorry, my calendar just flipped off of July. That would be on July 12th. But I also would like to see if you all are available for a public hearing on July 26th to be able to try to accommodate all of these amendments, I think an additional night of hearings would be advisable for us to get on your calendars now before they fill up. So if anybody has any conflicts with the 26th, if you could please let me know in the next week or then we can send out some alternative dates to that. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Dix.
Melissa, July 26th. I may or may not, so I'm just thinking ahead. Do we know anything about what we're going to be allowed to do going forward with virtual meetings?
That's a great question. I don't know if Mr. Robin has any additional information. I have a meeting tomorrow with building facilities. What I've heard is through the grapevine and not from them directly is that they may be considering opening County Center to the public after the 4th of July. But I don't know exactly what that looks like and whether that includes having space for 10 members in this room as well as the public. But Tracy may want to respond on the whether or not virtual would still be permissible.
Okay, thank you. There's really no change today from where we were a year and 3 months ago. It was the governor's order and COVID that changed or gave you the ability to have virtual meetings without having a physical quorum. That may change with the passing of this legislative session. We don't know what the Florida legislature is going to do. But for the foreseeable future, barring a reinstitution of the governor's order, a physical quorum will be required for the meetings. And we'll keep you advised on that as the legislature closes out.
And I guess my follow-up question to that, Tracy, is really, I mean, would that necessarily preclude someone attending virtually, even if we're continuing having the meetings like we're doing now?
No, I think the agency can accommodate virtual attendance by the public as an option to increase, public participation. Excuse me.
And board participation in this case.
Yes, provided we have the. Well, we may get some guidance on that out of the legislature too. Let's let that one lay for a moment, but we certainly need the physical quorum.
And that's fine. That was just my concern for July. So,
sure.
That's fine.
Okay.
Good question, Commissioner Dix. Thank you. I did have just a quick question for you, Melissa, on this wetlands meeting we're going to have. You said the EPC is going to be joining in with this. The EPC is in, are there going to be commissioners, board commissioners, or just staff?
No, EPC staff.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Any more questions on the executive director's report? I think I saw Commissioner Powell on. Yes, Commissioner Powell, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question to Melissa. When we have our workshop, I'm really happy that we're going to have someone from the property appraiser's office there talking about how they evaluate land. I also was hoping that maybe we could have like a third-party independent appraiser, there as well, someone who is MAI certified, to also give us their opinion on how they would evaluate that particular piece of property, because oftentimes the appraiser's office doesn't always fully assess like market value. So I know that we heard a lot of public comment about the valuing of land that sits on people's balance sheets, and which is going to be really important to for loans and lines of credit for farmers. But I think it would be prudent to have someone who is an MAI appraiser there as well to sort of talk about that, because that's going to have a different viewpoint, I think, than what the property appraiser is going to have.
We can certainly do our best to get somebody to attend. Yeah, great suggestion.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Could I chime in there too?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Powell. Go ahead, Commissioner Lucas.
I don't understand this process, and I imagine Vivian does really well, but I believe the state plays an important role as well. And if there's I could be wrong, but if they are part of this process, it may be helpful to have DEP folks there as well.
I will find out. I think that those responsibilities are delegated to EPC, but
They
I
are.
will find out.
They are. The state dumps it off on the local and the EPC takes care of the local, so yeah.
Okay.
I didn't mean to say dumps. All right. All right. Any more hands raised online? Not seeing any. Any more questions in the room? Not seeing any. We will move on. Thank you for that report, Ms. Sornita, and we will move on to our final item, item number 9, other business. Chair's business, I have none. Is there any old business that any of the commissioners have? Seeing no one online and no one in the room. Any new business from any of the commissioners? Not seeing anything. We will move on to committee reports. Are there any commissioners who have committee reports for us today? I am seeing Commissioner Powell. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A quick update on the Affordable Housing Board. We were finally able to meet, and we were not able to have a quorum today, and that was mainly, I think, due to my fault not being able to attend in person since I'm in quarantine. But the election of officers has not happened there yet. We've had some issues, again, like with quorum. However, there is some legislation, and I don't know if Mary Ann is still on with us. She could probably say which legislation I'm going to talk about, but there's some legislation at the state as it regards the Sadowski Trust and other similar trust funds that they're going to be put into place potentially, if all passed, that you would prevent all of our trust funds from being able to be swept. However, they're not going to be, at least for this legislative cycle, looking at being fully funded. The governor's budget does account for full funding, which is $436 million, I believe. And right now we're looking at about maybe 200 from what the legislature has proposed. So we'll have to see what shakes up from that. I think there's some hope that we'll have some funds coming from this latest round from the federal government that was passed. So if you would, and you're capable and willing, it would be great if all those that are here could call the governor's office or contact them and contact local state representatives and just encourage them to fully fund that Sadowski Trust, because it was actually going to be fully funded last year in COVID, and then the whole thing got swept, I believe. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. All right, were there any more committee reports from the commissioners?
Mr. Chair, Tony Rodriguez.
Yes, Commissioner Rodriguez, please, go ahead.
All right, thank you. On March 10th, the City of Tampa had their Affordable Housing Advisory Committee meeting. Among the items that we talked about was wrapping up their infill phase 1 program, where they basically took city lands that the city had brought back onto the tax rolls with partners, and as of this month, they've already occupied 75 homes with that program, and they are also announcing an infill phase 2 program, which is a follow-on to that. And we had the opportunity as a committee to review the RFP for that, which the city is putting out on the street. It's going to be, it hopefully will encourage more developers to participate in the program, and there will be more of an incremental lot release over a period of time. But that could bring as many as 180 affordable housing units here into Tampa. So great program there. The Housing and Community Development Department also wanted us to be aware that the owner-occupied rehab program is really ramping up in Tampa. They've received some money for that, and as well both the city and the county received some Department of Treasury funds for rental assistance. So here during COVID, our landlords have due to the fact that you've not been able to evict people, the landlords have basically taken that financial burden on, and there's a program now to get rental assistance for the landlords for those properties. So all of that's ramping up. It was a very good meeting. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, April 21st. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. All right, good information there. Are there any more committee reports? Nope. All right, seeing none, we are on to our last item for the meeting, the adjournment. Before I adjourn, I'll remind everyone that we will be coming back, I'm going to say 6 because it's 5:15 now. It gives us a half an hour, 45 minutes-ish. 6 o'clock for our City of Tampa and Hillsborough County public hearings. So I will go on ahead and adjourn this meeting, and we will see you later on at that time. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Pardon me? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for attending the previous meeting. I know we have a couple people that have just signed on for our 6 o'clock meeting. I'm going to go through a couple numbers real quick and try to identify everyone. We have a call-in user from 561 with the last 2 digits being 32. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Who is this?
Sean Wilson. I am here